stop to think about what sound really is? I mean, it's this incredible, invisible force that's all around us, all the time. Well, in this explainer, we're going to go on a pretty amazing journey. We're going to follow a single sound wave from the very instant it's born all the way to the moment it becomes a thought inside your brain. So let's dive in.
Seriously, what if you could actually see sound? Just imagine it. You'd see these waves of energy pulsing out from a friend's laugh, or maybe colorful ripples flowing from your favorite song. Sound is this invisible force that completely shapes our world. So today, we're going to pull back that curtain and follow the entire journey of sound, from its secret starting point all the way to the moment you actually hear it.
All right, so where does sound even come from? It all kicks off with one simple universal secret. This is the one thing that connects every single sound you've ever heard, from the quietest little whisper to the loudest crack of thunder. And here it is, the big secret: vibration. That's it. Every single sound, no exceptions, is just a vibration moving through the world. If something isn't shaking or wiggling or jiggling in some way, it just can't make a sound. That's the #1 rule of the game.
And you can actually see and feel this for yourself, which is so cool. Like if you strike a metal plate, you can feel it buzzing in your hand, right? The second you grab it and stop the buzzing, the sound stops too. Or try this, pluck a stretched rubber band. You can literally see the vibrations that are creating that sound. But my favorite has to be striking a dish sitting in water and watching those waves ripple out. It's the perfect visual proof.
And, this is all a musical instrument really is. It's just a highly specialized vibration machine. Whether you're talking about the stretched strings of a sitar, the tight skin of a tabla drum, or the column of air shaking inside a flute, all music is just the art of making beautiful, controlled vibrations. Okay, so we've got our vibration. But how does that little shake get from, say, a ringing bell all the way over to our ears? Well, it has to travel. And it turns out sound is an absolutely incredible traveler.
You see, for sound to go anywhere, it needs something to travel through. Scientists have a word for this. They call it a medium. The easiest way to think about it is like a highway for sound waves. And if you don't have that highway, sound is pretty much stuck in a traffic jam, going nowhere.
And what's really wild is that sound is not a picky traveler at all. It will happily cruise through the air to bring a friend's voice to you. It zips right through water, which is how whales can talk to each other across these huge oceans. It can even travel through solid things like a table or a wall.
So, what happens if you take that highway away? What if you get rid of all the solids, liquids, and gases? Well, then you get a vacuum, like you'd find in outer space. And with no medium to travel through, sound is completely trapped. That's why in all those sci-fi movies, the giant explosions in space should actually be totally silent. There's just nothing there for the sound to travel on. So our vibration has been born, and has traveled through a medium. Now it's time for the final leg of the journey, reaching its destination. And that destination is probably the most complex and incredible sound detector on the entire planet: you. And hey, we're not just sound detectors, we're sound producers too. For us humans, it all starts right here, in the larynx, which most people just call the voice box. When air from our lungs rushes past two little flaps of tissue, our vocal cords, they vibrate. And that vibration? That's the very start of your voice. This is also why our voices all sound so different. Men usually have longer, thicker vocal cords. We're talking around 20 millimeters, which vibrate more slowly and make a lower-pitched voice. Women's vocal cords are a bit shorter, about 15 millimeters, so they vibrate faster, making a higher pitch. It's the exact same idea as a thick guitar string making a low note versus a thin one making a high note.
So, we've made a sound, but how do we actually hear it? Well, that's the job of this incredible piece of biological engineering, the ear. Its whole design is built for one single purpose: catching vibrations from the world around us.
The whole process is like this tiny, lightning-fast chain reaction. First, your outer ear acts like a funnel, guiding the sound wave in. That wave makes your eardrum vibrate. Then those vibrations get passed through these teeny tiny bones to your inner ear, where they're turned into an electrical signal. Finally, that signal zips up to your brain, which says, "Oh, hey, that's a guitar." And all of this happens in just a fraction of a second. It's amazing. Okay, so now that we get the full journey of sound, let's learn how to decode its language. I mean, what actually makes one sound loud and another one soft? Or one sound really high-pitched and another one super low? Well, it all comes down to two main things about the sound wave itself. So here they are, the two secret codes of sound.
First up is amplitude. That's basically the power or the size of the wave. Think of it like a wave in the ocean. A bigger, taller wave means a louder sound, like a big booming drum. The second code is frequency. That's how fast the wave is vibrating. The more vibrations per second, the higher the pitch, like the buzz of a hummingbird's wings. The key thing to remember is that loudness and pitch are two totally separate things.
We measure how loud something is in a unit called decibels, or dB for short. A normal chat with a friend is about 60 dB. Busy traffic or a noisy factory floor, that could easily get up to 90 dB. And here's something you really need to take away from this. Being around any sound that's over 80 decibels for a long time can actually start to become painful and even cause permanent damage to your hearing.
And what about pitch? Well, our ears have limits. Humans can generally hear frequencies between 20 and 20,000 hertz. And hertz is just a fancy way of saying vibrations per second. But here's what's so fascinating. There's a whole world of sound happening outside that range that we can't hear at all. Dogs, for example, can hear frequencies way above 20,000 hertz. That's how they can hear a high-pitched dog whistle that is totally silent to us.
So, we followed the journey of sound from a simple little shake all the way to our brains. But in our busy, modern world, there's one last, really important chapter to this story. What happens when a pleasant sound turns into an unpleasant noise?
Just think about all the sounds you hear in a big city. You've got the rumble of traffic, the clang of construction, the constant wail of sirens. Physically, they're all just vibrations, right? They follow the exact same rules we've been talking about. But when they get to be too much, when they become overwhelming and unpleasant, we stop calling them sound and we start calling them noise.
And this is a much bigger deal than just being annoying. This kind of excessive, unwanted sound has a name: noise pollution. And tons of studies have shown that it can have some pretty serious effects on our health, causing everything from stress and anxiety to lack of sleep, and in really bad cases, even permanent hearing loss.
But here's the good news. We can actually fight noise pollution. On a big scale, that means doing things like designing quieter engines and building factories far away from where people live. But even the small stuff helps, like just being more mindful about when you use your car horn. And honestly, one of the best and prettiest solutions is just planting more trees. They're amazing natural sound absorbers, and they make our communities quieter and healthier.
So, there you have it. From a simple shakeout in the world to a complex thought inside your brain, that's the full journey of sound. The next time you hear a bird singing or your favorite song comes on, just take a second to appreciate that incredible, invisible journey that vibration took just to reach you. Now that you know how it all works, what's one sound you think you'll never hear the same way again?